Jai Jai Śrī Caitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vṛnda. We're reading from the Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita, and we're at Madhya Lila, chapter 16, the Lord's attempt to go to Vrindavan. And just now, we're taking up at text number 150, if I'm not incorrect. Goodness gracious.
Haribo!
Does that sound good to you? 150? Dui Rajpatra Je Prabhu Shanga Jai Yajapura Ashi Prabhu Thare Dilena Vidai. When Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and his party arrived at Yajapur, the Lord asked the two government officers who had come with him to return. Purport: the place called Yajapur is very well known in Orissa. It is a subdivision of the Cuttack district and is situated on the southern side of the Vaitarani river. Formerly, great sages performed sacrifices on the northern bank of the Vaitarani river. Consequently, the place is known as Yajapur, the place where sacrifices are performed. Some people say that this was one of the capital cities of King Yayati, and that from the name Yayati Nagara, the name Yajapur has come. As stated in the Mahārāja Pratāparudra, chapter 114, Ete Kalinga Konteya Yatra Vaitarani Nadi. According to the Mahābharata, great sages formerly performed sacrifices in this place. There are still many temples of demigods and incarnations there, and there is also a deity of Sri Varahadev. This deity is especially important and is visited by many pilgrims. Those who worship the Supreme Lord's energy worship Varahi, Vaishnavi, and Indrani, as well as many similar forms of Devi, the internal energy. There are many deities of Lord Shiva, and there are many places along the river known as Dashashvamedha Ghat. Sometimes Yajapur is also called Nabi Gaya or Viraja Kshetra. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu bade farewell to the officers, and Roy Ramananda continued on with the Lord. The Lord talked to Ramananda Roy about Sri Krishna day and night. In each and every village, in compliance with the king's order, government officers constructed new houses and filled each of them with stocks of grains. Thus they served the Lord. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu finally arrived at Ramuna, where he bade farewell to Sri Ramananda Roy. It was stated in the first chapter of Madhya Lila, verse 149, that Ramananda Roy was bade farewell from Bhadraka. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states that in those days the place called Ramuna also included Bhadraka. When Ramananda Roy fell to the ground and lost consciousness, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu took him on his lap and began to cry. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feelings of separation from Ramananda Roy are very difficult to describe. Indeed, it is almost intolerable to do, and therefore I cannot describe them further. When Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu finally arrived at the border of the state of Orissa, a government officer came there to meet him. For 2 or 4 days, The government officer served the Lord. He also gave the Lord detailed information of what was ahead. He informed the Lord that the territory ahead was ruled by a Muslim governor who was a drunkard. Out of fear of this king, no one could walk the road freely. The jurisdiction of the Muslim government extended up to Pichalada. Due to fear of the Muslims, no one would cross the river. Purport: during the old days, Pichalada was part of Tamaluka, and Bengal. Pichalada is located about 14 miles south of Tamaluka. The river Rupa Narayan is well known in Tamaluka, and Pichalada was situated on the bank of the Rupa Narayan river. Mahārāja Pratāparudra's government officer further informed Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu that he should stay at the Orissa border for some days so that a peaceful agreement could be negotiated with the Muslim governor. In that way, the Lord would be able to cross the river peacefully in a boat. At that time, a follower of the Muslim governor arrived at the Orissa encampment dressed in disguise. The Muslim spy saw the wonderful characteristics of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, and when he returned to the Muslim governor, he told him, a mendicant has come from Jagannath Puri with many liberated persons. All these saintly people incessantly chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and they all laugh, dance, chant, and cry. Many millions upon millions of people come to see him, and after they see him, they cannot return home. All these people become like madmen. They simply chant the holy name of Krishna and dance. Sometimes they even cry and roll on the ground. Actually, these things cannot even be described. One can understand them only by seeing. Considering his influence, I accept him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After saying this, the messenger began to chant the holy name of Hari and Krishna, holy names. He also began to laugh and cry, dance and sing exactly like a madman. When the Muslim governor heard this, his mind changed. He then sent his secretary to the representative of the Orissan government. The Muslim secretary came to see Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. When he offered his respects to the Lord's lotus feet and uttered the holy name of the Lord, Krishna Krishna, he also was overwhelmed with ecstatic love. After calming down, the Muslim secretary offered his respects and informed the representative of the Orissan government, the Muslim governor has sent me here. If you agree, the Muslim governor will come here to meet Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and then return. The Muslim governor is very eager, and he has submitted this petition with great respect. It is a proposal for peace. You need not fear that we will fight. Upon hearing this proposal, the representative of the Orissan government, the Mahapatra, was very much astonished. He thought, the Muslim governor is a drunkard. Who has changed his mind? It must be Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu himself who has changed the Muslim's mind. Due to his presence and even due to his remembrance, the whole world is liberated. From this we can understand that since the Muslim governor was a drunkard, Madhya, ordinarily there would have been no chance that he would change. But Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu could turn anyone's mind to Krishna consciousness. One can be delivered from material existence simply by remembering Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's holy name or by visiting him. This Krishna consciousness movement is being spread throughout the world, but not even one Yavana or Mlecha addicted to drinking could have changed and accepted Krishna consciousness without Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's grace. People are often astonished to see many thousands of Westerners converted to Vaishnavism Generally, Westerners are addicted to meat eating, drinking, gambling, and illicit sex. Therefore, their taking up Krishna consciousness is astonishing. In India especially, there is much astonishment at this. The answer, however, is given here. Darshana smarane jar jagat tarila. This change is made possible simply by the remembrance of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. The Western devotees are very sincerely chanting the holy names of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and his associates. Śrī Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvāsari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. By the mercy of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and his associates, people are being purified and their consciousness directed from Maya to Krishna. The word Vishwas refers to a secretary. This title is generally found among the Kayasta caste in the Hindu community. In Bengal, the title Vishwas is still used by the Kayastas. The word Vishwas means faithful, and a Vishvasi is a person in whom one can place faith. A Vishvasi. My dear Vishvasis, Sri Bhaktivedanta Thakur states that during the Muslim reign in Bengal, there was a secretariat entitled Vishwaskana. The office of Vishwaskana was a secretariat office in which only the most reliable people were employed. They were elected from the Kayasta community, a community that is still very expert in managing business and government affairs. The secretariat, or Vishwaskana, is generally a very reliable and faithful servant. Whenever some confidential service was needed, these officers were employed. We need Vishwasis. After thinking this, the Mahapatra immediately informed the Muslim secretary, "It is a great fortune for your governor. Let him come visit Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. However, let me make it understood that he should come here without weapons. He may bring with him 5 or 7 servants." The secretary returned to the Muslim governor and informed him of this news. Dressing himself like a Hindu, the Muslim governor then came to see Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Upon seeing Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu from a distant place, the Muslim governor fell to the ground and offered obeisances. Tears came to his eyes, and he was jubilant with ecstatic emotions. Arriving in that way, the Muslim governor was respectfully brought before Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu by the Mahapatra. The governor then stood before the Lord with folded hands, and he chanted the holy name of Krishna. The governor then submissively asked, "Why was I born in a Muslim family? This is considered a low birth. Why didn't Supreme Providence grant me a birth in a Hindu family? If I had taken birth in a Hindu family, it would have been easy for me to remain near your lotus feet. Since my body is now useless, let me die immediately." Upon hearing the governor's submissive statement, the Mahapatra was overwhelmed with joy. He clasped the lotus feet of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and began to offer the following prayers. "Simply by hearing your holy name, a Chandala, the lowest of men, can be purified. Now, this conditioned soul has received your personal interview. It is no wonder that this Muslim governor has attained such results. Simply by seeing you, all this is possible. Yanamadev Shravanad Kirtanad Yapravanad Yat Smaranad Api Kvachit Shradho Pisadya Savanaya Kalpate Kutak Punaste Bhagavan Nudarshanad. To say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face, even a person born in a family of dog-eaters becomes immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. If he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. Purport, this is a quotation from Śrīmad Bhagavatam 3:33-6. According to this verse, it does not matter what position a person holds. One may be the lowest of the low, a chandala, or dog-eater, but if he takes to chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord, he is immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. This is especially true in this age of Kali. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama eva kevalam, Kalo nasteva, 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 gatiranyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. There's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way. A person born in a Brahmana family cannot perform Vedic sacrifices until he is properly purified and has attained his sacred thread. However, according to the present verse of Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita, quoted from Śrīmad Bhagavatam, it is understood that even a low-born person can immediately perform sacrifices if he sincerely chants and hears the holy name of the Lord. Sometimes envious people ask how Europeans and Americans in this Krishna consciousness movement can become brahmanas and perform sacrifices. They do not know that the Europeans and Americans have already been purified by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the proof. Shwadho pisadya savanaya kalpate. One may be born in a family of dog-eaters, but he can perform sacrifices simply by chanting the Mahamantra. Those who find fault in the Western Vaishnavas should consider this statement from Śrīmad Bhagavatam and the commentary on this verse by Srila Jiva Goswami. In this regard, Srila Jiva Goswami has stated that to become a Brahmana, one has to wait for purification and undergo the sacred thread ceremony. But a chanter of the holy name does not have to wait for the sacred thread ceremony. We do not allow devotees to perform sacrifices until they are properly initiated in the sacred thread ceremony. Yet according to this verse, an offenseless chanter of the holy name is already fit to perform a fire ceremony, even though he is not doubly initiated by the sacred thread ceremony. This is the verdict given by Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapiladev, when he was instructing her in pure Sankhya philosophy. Text 187, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu then glanced with mercy at the Muslim governor. Giving him assurance, he asked him to chant the holy names Krishna and Hari. It is Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's mercy that he advises everyone, even Chandalas, Mlechas, and Yavanas, to chant the holy name of the Lord. In other words, one who has taken to chanting the holy names, Krishna and Hari, has already received Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's mercy. The Lord's request to chant the holy name of Krishna is now extended to everyone in the world through the Krishna consciousness movement. Whoever follows Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's instructions will certainly be purified, and one who sincerely chants the holy name offenselessly is already more than a Brahmana. Unfortunately, there are many fools and rascals in India who do not allow Western Vaishnavas to enter certain temples. Such rascals do not clearly understand the Vedas. As stated previously, Yannama Dhyaya Shravanad Kirtanad Savanaya Kalpate. The Muslim governor then said, "Since you have so kindly accepted me, please give me some order so that I can render you some service." Purport, if one is purified by following Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's orders, that is, by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one must certainly be eager to render service to the Lord. This is the test. When one engages enthusiastically in the Lord's service, it is to be understood that he is reaping the results of chanting the names of Krishna and Hari. The Muslim governor then prayed for liberation from the unlimited sinful reactions he had previously incurred by being envious of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas and killing cows. By chanting the holy names of Krishna and Hari, one is certainly liberated from the reactions to such sinful activities as killing cows and insulting Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. It is most sinful to kill cows and insult Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. The karma incurred by such activity is very great, but one can immediately nullify all this karma by surrendering to Lord Kṛṣṇa and chanting his holy name. After being released from one's sinful reactions, karma, one becomes eager to serve the Lord. This is the test. Since the Muslim governor was immediately purified in the presence of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, he could utter the names of Krishna and Hari. Therefore he was eager to render some service, and the Lord, eager to fulfill his desires, immediately had the devotee, Vṛindavana-3, inform the governor that there was some service to render. Vṛindavana-3 then told the Muslim governor, "My dear sir, please hear. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu wishes to go to the bank of the Ganges. Please give him all assistance so that he can go there. This is your first great order, and if you can comply, you will render a great service." After this, the Muslim governor offered prayers to the lotus feet of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and to the lotus feet of all his devotees. Then the governor departed. Indeed, he was pleased. Before the governor left, the Mahāpatra embraced him and offered him many gifts. He thus established a friendship with him. The next morning, the governor sent his secretary with many nicely decorated boats to bring Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu to the other side of the river. The Mahāpatra crossed the river with Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, and when they reached the other shore, the Muslim governor personally received the Lord and worshipped his lotus feet. One of the boats had been newly constructed, and it had a room in the middle. It was on this boat that they put Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and his associates. Finally, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu bade farewell to the Mahāpatra. Standing on the riverbank and looking at the boat, the Mahāpatra began to cry. The Muslim governor then personally accompanied Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Because of pirates, the governor took 10 boats full of many soldiers. The Muslim governor accompanied Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu past Mantreshvara. This place was very dangerous due to pirates. He took the Lord to a place named Pichlada, which was near Mantreshvara. Purport: the very wide mouth of the Ganges near present-day Diamond Harbor was called Mantreshvara. Through the Ganges, the boat entered the Rupa Narayan River and reached the village of Pichlada. Pichlada and Mantreshvara are located very close together. After passing Mantreshvara, the Muslim governor accompanied the Lord as far as Pichlada. Finally, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu bade the governor farewell. The intense ecstatic love exhibited by the governor cannot be described. Purport: Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu bade farewell to the Muslim governor at Pichlada. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami herein states that the governor experienced symptoms of ecstatic love due to being separated from Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. These symptoms, he admits, cannot be described. Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's pastimes are all uncommon. Whoever listens to his activities becomes glorious, and his life becomes perfect. The Lord finally reached Panihati, and as an act of mercy, he gave the captain of the boat one of his personal garments. The place called Panihati was located on the bank of the Ganges. After hearing that Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu had arrived, all kinds of men assembled both on land and on the water. Purport: the village of Panihati is situated on the bank of the Ganges near Kadadaha, at length Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu was taken away by Raghava Pandit. There was a great crowd assembled along the way, and the Lord reached Raghava Pandit's residence with great difficulty. The Lord stayed at Raghava Pandit's place for only one day. The next morning he went to Komarahata, where Srivas Thakur lived. Purport: the present name of Kumarahata is Halisahara. After Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu accepted sannyas, Srivas Thakur left Navadvip due to separation from him and went to Halisahara to live. From Komarahata, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu went to Kanchanapalli, also known as Kanchanadapada, where Shivananda Sain lived. After staying 2 days at Shivananda's house, the Lord went to the house of Vasudev Dutt. From there he went to the western side of Navadvip, to the village called Vidyanagar. From Vidyanagar he went to Kuliagram and stayed at Madhava Dasa's house. He stayed there 1 week and excused the offenses of Devananda and others. Due to Kaviraj Goswami's mentioning the name of Shantipur Acharya, some people think that Kulia is a village near Kanchadapada. Due to this mistaken idea, they invented another place known as New Kaliyarapata. Actually, such a place does not exist. Leaving the house of Vasudeva Datta, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu went to the house of Advaita Acharya. From there he went to the western side of Navadvip, to Vidyanagar, and stayed at the house of Vidya Vachaspati. These accounts are given in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Mangal, Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka, and Chaitanya Charita Kavya. Sri Kaviraj Goswami has not vividly described this entire tour. Therefore, on the basis of Chaitanya Charitamrita, some unscrupulous people have invented a place called Kuliyarpata near Kanchanadapada. From the house of Srivas Thakur, the Lord went to the house of Shivananda Sain and then to the house of Vasudeva Datta. The Lord remained some time at the house of Vidya Vachaspati, but then, because it was too crowded, he went to Kulia. Purport: the house of Vidya Vachaspati was located at Vidyanagar, which was near Koladvip, or Kulia. It was here that Devananda Pandit was residing. This information is found in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Kanda, chapter 21. In the Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka, the following statement is given about Kulia. From there, the Lord went to the house of Srivas Pandit in Komarahata. From the house of Srivas Acharya, the Lord went to the house of Advaita Acharya, where he was offered obeisances by Haridas Thakur. The Lord then took a boat to the other side of Navadvip to a place called Kulia, where he stayed 7 days at the house of Madhava Das. He then proceeded along the banks of the Ganges. In the Śrī Caitanya Charita Mahākavya, it is stated, quote, the Lord went to the eastern side of the Ganges at Navadvip, and everyone was pleased to see the Lord coming. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat Antyakanda, chapter 3, it is stated, quote, the Lord suddenly came to Vidyanagar with a full party and stayed there in the house of Vidya Vachaspati. Thus, throughout Navadvip, the Lord's arrival was made known. Thus, the chief of all the sannyasis, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, arrived at the house of Vidya Vachaspati. As further stated, when Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu stayed at Vidya Vachaspati's house, many hundreds and thousands of people went to see him and chant the holy name of Hari. It was so crowded that people could not even find a place to walk. Therefore they made room by clearing out the jungles near the village. Many roads were automatically excavated, and many people also came by boat to see the Lord. So many came that it was difficult for the boatmen to get them across the river. When Vidyavachaspati suddenly arrived, he made arrangements for many boats to receive these people, but the people would not wait for the boats. Somehow or other they crossed the river and hurried toward the house of Vidyavachaspati. Due to this great crowd, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu secretly went to Kuliya Nagara. After the Lord left Vidyanagara, however, all the people heard news of his leaving. They then accompanied Vachaspati to Kuliya Nagar. Since the news of the Lord's arrival was immediately broadcast, large crowds arrived and greeted Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu with great jubilation. Indeed, when the crowd went to see Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, it increased 10,000 times in number. No one could say how many people crossed the river to see him, but many hundreds of thousands made a great tumult when crossing the river Ganges. After crossing the river, everyone began to embrace one another because they heard the good news of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's arrival. Thus all the inhabitants of Kuliya, the sinful, intermediate, and spiritually advanced, were delivered and glorified by Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. As stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Antyakanda, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu passed through Kana Yoda, Badagachi, and Dhogachia, and then crossed the Ganges before arriving in Kuliya. As stated in the Chaitanya Mangal, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu walked through Radhadesh and gradually arrived at the Ganges. After bathing in the river, he crossed it and went to Kuliya. Because he had promised his mother he would return to Navadvip, he went to Varakona Ghat, a village near her house. In the commentary of Prema Das, it is said, everyone knows that in the middle of Madhya is a village named Kuliya Pahadapur. Sri Narhari Chakravarti, or Gyanasham Das, has written in his Bhakti Ratnakara, he said, O Srinivas, just see the town of Kuliya Pahadapur, which was previously known as Koladvip. In a book named Navadvip Parikram, also written by Gyanasham Das, it is stated, Kuliya Prahadapur Gram Purve Kuladvipa Parvata Kyanandanama. The town of Kuliya Pahadapur was previously named Koladvip Parvata Kyananda. Therefore, one can conclude that the present-day city of Navadvip and the places known as Bahirdvip, Kolerganj, Koleramada, Koleradaha, Kadakali, etc., were known as Kuliya, but the so-called Kuliyara Pata is not the original Kuliya. Everyone got that? Sure you do. Okay, 208. When the Lord stayed at the house of Madhava Das, many hundreds of thousands of people came to see him. Madhava Das is identified as follows. In the family of Shrikar Chattopadhyaya, Yudhishthira Chattopadhyaya took his birth. Formerly he and his family members lived in Bilvagram and Patuli. From there he went to Kuliya Pahadapur, formerly known as Padapur. The eldest son of Yudhishthira, Chattopadhyaya, was known as Madhava Das. The second son was called Haridas, and the youngest son was called Krishna Sampati Chattopadhyaya. The three brothers' nicknames were Chakati, Tinakati, and Dukati. The grandson of Madhava Das was named Vamshivardhan, and during the time of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his grandson Ramachandra and their descendants were still living at Vagnapad or Vainchi. The Lord stayed there for 7 days and delivered all kinds of offenders and sinners. After leaving Kuliya, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu visited the house of Advaita Acharya at Shantipur. It was there that the Lord's mother, Shachimata, met him and was thus relieved of her great unhappiness. The Lord then visited the village known as Ramakeli and the place known as Kanai Natashala. From there he returned to Shantipur. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu stayed in Shantipur for 10 days. This has all been described very elaborately by Vṛindavana-3. I will not narrate these incidents because they have already been described by Vṛindavana-3. There is no need to repeat the same information, for such repetition would unlimitedly increase the size of this book. These narrations tell how Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu met the brothers Rupa and Sanatan, and how Nrsinganandana decorated the road. I've already described these in an earlier synopsis of this book, therefore I will not repeat the narrations here. When Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu returned to Shantipur, Raghunath Das came to meet him. Two brothers named Hiranya and Govardhana, who were residents of Saptagram, had an annual income of 1,200,000 rupees. Hiranya and Govardhana were inhabitants of Saptagram in the district of Hooghly. Actually, they were inhabitants not of Saptagram, but of a nearby village named Krishnapur. They took their birth in a big Kayastha family, and although their family title has not been ascertained, it is known that they came from an aristocratic family. The elder brother's name was Hiranya Majumdar, and the younger brother's name was Govardhana Majumdar. Sri Raghunath Das was the son of Govardhana Majumdar. Their family priest was Balaram Acharya, who was a favorite of Haridas Thakur's, and the family's spiritual master was Yadunandana Acharya, a favorite of Vasudev Datta's. The village of Saptagram is located on the Eastern Railway from Calcutta to Burdwan, and presently the railway station is called Trishabhiga. In those days, there was a large river there known as the Saraswati, and present-day Trishabhiga is a great port. In 1592, the Patanas invaded, and due to a flooding of the Saraswati River in the year 1632, this great port was partially destroyed. It is said that in the 17th and 18th centuries, Portuguese businessmen used to come aboard their ships. In those days, Shaptagram, situated on the southern side of Bengal, was very rich and popular. The merchants who were the principal residents were called Shaptagram Suvarnavaniks. There were very many rich people there, and Hiranya Majumdar and Govardhana Majumdar belonged to the Kayastha community. They also were very rich, so much so that it is mentioned in this verse that their annual income as landlords amounted to 1,200,000 rupees. In this connection, one may refer to the Adi Leela, chapter 11, verse 41, which describes Udarana Datta, who also belonged to the Shapta Grami Suvarnavanik community. Both Hiranya Majumdar and Govardhana Majumdar were very opulent and magnanimous. They were well behaved and devoted to Brahminical culture. They belonged to an aristocratic family, and among religionists, they were predominant. Practically all the Brahmanas residing in Madhya were dependent on the charity of Hiranya and Govardhana, who gave them money, land, and villages. Purport: although Navadvip was very opulent and populous during Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu's time, practically all the Brahmanas depended on the charity of Hiranya and Govardhana. Because the brothers highly respected the Brahmanas, they very liberally gave them money. Nilambar Chakravarti, the grandfather of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, was much worshipped by the two brothers, but Nilambar Chakravarti used to treat them as his own brothers. Formerly, these two brothers had rendered much service to Mishra Purandara, the father of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Because of this, the Lord knew them very well. Raghunath Das was the son of Govardhana Madrumadar. From childhood he was uninterested in material enjoyment. When Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu returned to Shantipur, after accepting the renounced order, Raghunath Das met him. When Raghunath Das went to see Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, he fell at the Lord's lotus feet in ecstatic love. Showing him mercy, the Lord touched him with his feet. Raghunath Das's father, Govardhana, always rendered much service to Advaita Acharya. Consequently, Advaita Acharya was very pleased with the family. When Raghunath Das was there, Advaita Acharya favored him by giving him the food remnants left by the Lord. Raghunath Das was thus engaged for 5 or 7 days in rendering service to the Lord's lotus feet. After bidding farewell to Raghunath Das, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu returned to Jagannath Puri. After returning home, Raghunath Das became mad with ecstatic love. Raghunath Das used to run away from home again and again to go to Jagannath Puri, but his father kept binding him and bringing him back. His father even had 5 watchmen guard him day and night. 4 personal servants were employed to look after his comfort, and 2 brahmanas were employed to cook for him. In this way, 11 people were incessantly keeping Raghunath Das under control. Thus he could not go to Jagannath Puri. And because of this, he was very unhappy. When Raghunath Das learned that Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu had arrived in Shantipur, he submitted a request to his father. Raghunath Das asked his father, "Please give me permission to go see the lotus feet of the Lord. If you do not, my life will not remain within this body." Hearing this request, Raghunath Das's father agreed. Giving him many servants and materials, the father sent him to see Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, requesting him to return soon. For 7 days, Raghunath Das associated with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shantipur. During those days and nights, he had the following thoughts. Raghunath Das thought, "How shall I be able to get free from the hands of the watchmen? How shall I be able to go with Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu to Nilachala?" Since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was omniscient, he could understand Raghunath Das's mind. The Lord therefore instructed him with the following reassuring words. Sthirahai ghare jao, na hao vatula, krame krame pai loka bhava sindhu kula. Be patient and return home, do not be a crazy fellow. By and by you will be able to cross the ocean of material existence. Similar to Stane Stita Shrutigatam Tanavan Manobir. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.58, Sama Shritaye Badapallavaplavam Mahatpadam Punya Yasho Marade Bhavam Budhir Vatsapadam Parampadam Padam Padam Yad Vipadam Natesham. This material world is just like a big ocean. It begins with Brahmaloka and extends to Patalaloka. And there are many planets or islands in this ocean. Not knowing about devotional service, the living entity wanders about this ocean, just as a man tries to swim to reach the shore. Our struggle for existence is similar to this. Everyone is trying to get out of the ocean of material existence. One cannot immediately reach the coast. But if one endeavors, he can cross the ocean of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu's, by Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. One may be very eager to cross this ocean, but he cannot attain success by acting like a madman. He must swim over the ocean very patiently and intelligently under the instructions of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu or his representative. Then one day he will reach the shore and return home back to Godhead. Do you like that or not? Yes. But you don't like it that much. You like it medium. All right. You should not make yourself a show bottle devotee and become a false renunciate. For the time being, enjoy the material world in a befitting way and do not become attached to it. Purport: the word markata vairagya, indicating false renunciation, is very important in this verse. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in commenting on the word, points out that monkeys make external show of renunciation by not accepting clothing and by living naked in the forest. In this way they consider themselves renunciates, but actually they are very busy enjoying sense gratification with dozens of female monkeys. Such renunciation is called markata vairagya, the renunciation of a monkey. One cannot be really renounced until one actually becomes disgusted with material activity and sees it as a stumbling block to spiritual advancement. Renunciation should not be palgu, temporary, but should exist throughout one's life. Temporary renunciation, or monkey renunciation, is like the renunciation one feels at a cremation ground. When a man takes a dead body to the crematorium, he sometimes thinks, this is the final end of the body. Why am I working so hard day and night? Such sentiments naturally arise in the mind of any man who goes to a crematorial ghat. However, as soon as he returns from the cremation grounds, he again engages in material activity for sense enjoyment. This is called samashana vairagya, or markata vairagya. In order to render service to the Lord, one may accept necessary things. If one lives in this way, he may actually become renounced. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said, Yavata syat swa nirvaha svi kuryat tavat artavit adikye nyuna tayam cha chavate paramartataha. The bare necessities of life must be accepted, but one should not superfluously increase his necessities, nor should they be unnecessarily decreased. One should simply accept what is necessary to help one advance spiritually. In his Durgama Sangamani, Śrī Jiva Goswami comments that the word swa nivaha actually means swaswa bhakti nirvaha. The experienced devotee will accept only those material things that will help him render service to the Lord. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, markata vairagya, or palgu vairagya, is explained as follows: prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna mamukshabhi parityagyo vairagyam palgu katyate. When persons eager to achieve liberation renounce things related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking them to be material, their renunciation is called incomplete. Whatever is favorable for the rendering of service to the Lord should be accepted and should not be rejected as a material thing. Yukta vairagya, or befitting renunciation, is thus explained: anasaktasya vishayan yataraham upayunjataha nirbandha krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchate. Things should be accepted for the Lord's service and not for one's personal sense gratification. If one accepts something without attachment and accepts it because it is related to Krishna, one's renunciation is called yukta vairagya. Since Krishna is the absolute truth, whatever is accepted for his service is also the absolute truth. The word markata vairagya is used by Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu to indicate so-called Vaishnavas who dress themselves in loincloths, trying to imitate Srila Rupa Goswami. Such people carry a bead bag and chant, but at heart they are always thinking about getting women and money. Unknown to others, these markata vairagis maintain women, but externally present themselves as renunciates. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu was very much opposed to these markata vairagis, or pseudo-Vaishnavas. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu continued, within your heart you should keep yourself very faithful, but externally you may behave just like an ordinary man. Thus Krishna will soon be very pleased and deliver you from the clutches of Maya. You may see me at Nilachala, Jagannath Puri, when I return after visiting Vrindavan. But by that time, you can think of some trick to escape. What kind of means you will have to use at that time will be revealed by Krishna. If one has Krishna's mercy, no one can check him. Purport. Although Srila Raghunath Das was very anxious to join Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, the Lord advised him to wait for the mercy of Lord Kṛṣṇa. He recommended that Raghunath Das keep his Krishna consciousness firmly fixed in his heart while externally behaving like an ordinary man. This is a trick for everyone advanced in Krishna consciousness. One can live in society like an ordinary human being, but at the same time one's own business should be to satisfy Krishna and spread his glories. A Krishna conscious person should not be absorbed in material things, for his only business is the devotional service of the Lord. If one is engaged in this way, Krishna will certainly bestow his mercy. As Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu advised Raghunath Das, Yata yogya vishaya bhunja anasaktahai. The same is repeated, Antari nishtakara vai loka vyavahara. This means that one must have no desire within his heart other than to serve Krishna. On the basis of such a conviction, one can cultivate Krishna consciousness. This is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Lokiki vaidiki vapi ya kriya kriyate mune hari sevanu kulaiva sakarya bhaktim ichata. A devotee may act as an ordinary human being or as a strict follower of Vedic injunctions. In either case, everything he does is favorable for the advancement of devotional service because he is Krishna conscious. In this way, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu bade farewell to Raghunath Das, who returned home and did exactly what the Lord told him. After returning home, Raghunath Das gave up all craziness and external pseudo-renunciation and engaged in his household duties. When Raghunath Das's father and mother saw that their son was acting like a householder, they became very happy. Because of this, they slackened their guard. When Raghunath Das's father and mother saw that their son was no longer acting like a crazy fellow and was responsibly attending to his duties, they became very happy. The 11 people, 5 watchmen, 4 personal servants, 2 Brahmins, who were who were guarding him, became less strict in their vigilance. When Raghunath Das actually took up his household affairs, his parents reduced the number of guards. Meanwhile, at Shantipur, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu assembled all his devotees, headed by Advaitacharya and Sri Nityananda Prabhu, embraced them all and asked their permission to return to Jagannath Puri. Because he had met them all at Shantipur, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu requested all the devotees not to go to Jagannath Puri that year. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu said, I shall certainly go to Vrindavan from Jagannath Puri. If all of you give me permission, I shall return here again without difficulty. Clasping the feet of his mother, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu very humbly requested her permission. Thus she gave him leave to go to Vrindavan. Srimati Shachi Devi was sent back to Navadvip, and the Lord and his devotees started for Jagannath Puri, Niladri. The devotees who accompanied Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu rendered all kinds of service on the way to Nilachala, Jagannath Puri. Thus in great happiness the Lord returned. When Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu arrived in Jagannath Puri, he visited the temple of the Lord. News then spread all over the city that he had returned. All the devotees then came and met the Lord with great happiness. The Lord embraced each of them in great ecstatic love. Kashi Mishra, Ramananda Roy, Pradumna, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Vaninath Roy, Shiki Mahidi, and all the other devotees met Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Gadadhar Pandit also came and met the Lord. Then before all the devotees, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu began to speak as follows. It was my decision to go to Vṛndavan through Bengal in order to see my mother and the river Ganges. Thus I went to Bengal, but thousands of devotees began to follow me. Many hundreds of thousands of people came to see me out of curiosity, and due to such a large crowd, I could not travel very freely on the road. Indeed, the crowd was so large that the house and the boundary walls of the house where I stayed were destroyed, and wherever I looked, I could see only large crowds. With great difficulty, I went to the town of Ramakeli, where I met two brothers named Rupa and Sanatan. These two brothers are great devotees and suitable recipients of Krishna's mercy, but in their ordinary dealings, they are government officials, ministers to the king. Srila Rupa and Sanatan are very much experienced in education, devotional service, intelligence and strength, yet they think themselves inferior to straw in the street. Indeed, the humility of these two brothers could even melt stone. Because I was very pleased with their behavior, I told them, although you are both very much exalted, you consider yourselves inferior, and because of this, Krishna will very soon deliver you. Purport. Such are the qualifications of a pure devotee. Materially, one may be very opulent, experienced, influential, and educated, but if one still thinks himself lower than the straw in the street, one attracts the attention of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and Lord Kṛṣṇa. Although Mahārāja Pratāparudra was a king, he took up a broom to cleanse the road for Lord Jagannātha's wrath. Because of this humble service, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu was very pleased with the king, and for that reason the Lord embraced him. According to Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's instructions, a devotee should never be puffed up by material power. He should know that material power is the result of one's past good activities and is consequently transient. At any moment, all one's material opulence can be finished. Therefore, a devotee is never proud of such opulence. He is always humble and meek, considering himself lower than a piece of straw. Because of this, the devotees are eligible to return home back to Godhead. After speaking to them in this way, I bade them farewell. As I was leaving, Sanatan told me, it is not appropriate for one to be followed by a crowd of thousands while going to Vṛndavan. Although I heard this, I did not pay it any attention, and in the morning I went to the place named Kanai Natashala. At night, however, I considered what Sanatan had told me. I decided that Sanatan had spoken very well. I was certainly being followed by a large crowd, and when people would see so many men, they would surely rebuke me, saying, "Here is another impostor." I then began to consider that Vṛndavan is a very solitary place. It is invincible and very difficult to attain. I therefore decided to go there alone, or at the utmost with only one person. Madhavendra Puri went to Vṛndavan alone, and Krishna, on the pretext of giving him milk, granted him an audience. I then understood that I was going to Vṛndavan like a magician with his show, and this is certainly not good. No one should go to Vṛndavan with so many men. I have therefore resolved to go alone, or at the utmost with one servant. In this way my journey to Vṛndavan will be beautiful. I thought, instead of going to Vṛndavan alone, I am going with soldiers and the beating of drums. I therefore said, "Fie on me," and being very much agitated, I returned to the bank of the Ganges. I then left all the devotees there and brought only 5 or 6 persons with me. Now I wish that you all will be pleased with me and give me good counsel. Tell me how I shall be able to go to Vṛndavan without impediments. I left Gadadhar Pandit here, and he became very unhappy. For this reason, I could not go to Vṛndavan. Being encouraged by Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's words, Gadadhar Pandit became absorbed in ecstatic love. Immediately clasping the lotus feet of the Lord, he began to speak with great humility. Gadadhar Pandit said, "Wherever you stay is Vṛindavan, as well as the river Jamuna, the river Ganges, and all other places of pilgrimage. Although wherever you stay is Vṛindavan, you will still go to Vṛindavan just to instruct people. Otherwise, you will do whatever you think best." It was not essential for Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu to go to Vṛindavan, for wherever he stayed was immediately converted to Vṛindavan. Indeed, at that place were also the river Ganges, the river Jamuna, and all other places of pilgrimage. This was also expressed by Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu himself when he danced in the Ratha Yatra. At that time he said that his very mind was Vṛindavan, Mora Mana Vṛindavan. Because his mind was Vṛindavan, all the pastimes of Radha and Krishna were taking place within himself. Nonetheless, just to teach people, he visited Bhauma Vṛindavan, Vṛindavan Dham in this material world. In this way, the Lord instructed everyone to visit Vṛindavan Dham, which is a very holy place. Materialists consider Vṛindavan Dham an unclean city because there are many monkeys and dogs there, and along the bank of the Jamuna there is refuse. Some time ago, a materialistic man asked me, "Why are you living in Vṛindavan? Why have you selected such a dirty place to live after retiring?" Such a person cannot understand that the earthly Vṛindavan Dham is always a representation of the original Vṛindavan Dham. Consequently, Vṛindavan Dham is as worshipable as Lord Kṛṣṇa. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayasta Dham Vṛindavanam. According to Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's philosophy, Lord Sri Krishna and his abode, Vṛindavan, are equally worshipable. Sometimes materialistic people who have no spiritual understanding go to Vṛindavan as tourists. One who goes to Vṛindavan with such materialistic vision cannot derive any spiritual benefit. Such a person is not convinced that Krishna and Vṛindavan are identical. Since they are identical, Vṛindavan is as worshipable as Lord Kṛṣṇa. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's vision, Mora Man Vṛindavan, is different from the vision of an ordinary materialistic person. At the Ratha Yatra festival, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, absorbed in the ecstasy of Srimati Radharani, dragged Lord Kṛṣṇa back to Vṛindavan Dham. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu spoke of this in the verses beginning Ahushchate. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1084:13 is stated, Yasyatma buddhi kundape tridatuke sadika latradi shubho ma'ijjati yatirtha buddhi salilena karichij janeshva vigeshu saeva gokara. A human being who identifies the body made of three elements with his self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsmen, who considers the land of birth as worshipable, and who goes to a place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge there, is to be considered like an ass or a cow. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu personally renovated Vṛindavan Dham and advised his chief disciples, Rupa and Sanatan, to develop it and open it to attract the spiritual vision of the general populace. At present, there are about 5,000 temples in Vṛindavan, and still our society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is constructing a huge, magnificent temple for the worship of Lord Kṛṣṇa and Lord Balaram, along with Radha Krishna and Guru Gauranga. Since there is no prominent Krishna Balaram temple in Vṛindavan, we are attempting to construct one so that people will be attracted to Krishna Balaram or Nitai Gaurachandra. Vrajendra Nandana Jay Shachi Sutta Hoilo She. Narottam Das says that Balaram and the son of Maharaj Nanda have advented themselves as Gaur Nitai. To propagate this fundamental principle, we are establishing a Krishna Balaram temple to broadcast to the world that worship of Gaur Nitai is the same as worship of Krishna Balaram. Although it is very difficult to enter into the Radha Krishna pastimes, most of the devotees in Vṛindavan are attracted to the Radha Krishna Leela. However, since Nitai Gaurachandra are direct incarnations of Balaram and Krishna, we can be directly in touch with Lord Balaram and Lord Kṛṣṇa through Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Those who are highly elevated in Krishna consciousness can enter into the pastimes of Radha Krishna through the mercy of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. It is said, Śrī Krishna Caitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Śrī Krishna Caitanya Mahāprabhu is a combination of Radha and Krishna. Sometimes materialists, forgetting the pastimes of Radha and Krishna Krishna Balaram, go to Vrindavan, accept the land's spiritual facilities, and engage in material activity. This is against the teachings of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. The Prakrita Sahajas proclaim themselves Vrajavasis or Dhamvasis, but they are mainly engaged in sense gratification. Thus they become more and more implicated in the materialistic way of life. Those who are pure devotees in Krishna consciousness condemn their activities. The eternal Vrajvasis like Swarup Damanar did not even come to Vrindavan Dham. Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Sri Haridas Thakur, Srivas Pandit, Sri Shivananda Sain, Sri Ramananda Roy, Sri Shiki Mihini, Sri Madhavi Devi, Sri Gadadhar Pandit Goswami never visited Vrindavan Dham. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur points out that we have no authorized documents stating that these exalted personalities visited Vrindavan. Nonetheless, we find many non-devotees, Mayavadi sannyasis, Prakrita Sahajas, fruit of workers, metal speculators, and many others with material motives going to Vrindavan to live. Many of these people go there to solve their economic problems by becoming beggars. Although anyone living in Vrindavan somehow or other is benefited, the real Vrindavan is appreciated only by a pure devotee. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Chudita Bhakti Vilochanena. When one has purified eyes, he can see that Sri Vrindavan and the original Goloka Vrindavan planet in the spiritual sky are identical. Srila Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivasacharya, Śrī Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Sri Bhagavan Das Babaji Maharaj, and Srila Gorakishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and later Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur of Calcutta, always engaged in Nam Bhajan and certainly did not live anywhere but Vrindavan. Presently, the members of the Hare Krishna movement throughout the world live in materially opulent cities such as London, New York, Los Angeles, Paris, Moscow, Zurich, and Stockholm. However, we are satisfied with following in the footsteps of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and other acharyas because we live in the temples of Radha and Krishna and continuously hold Harinam Sankirtan, the chanting of Hare Krishna. We consequently live in Vrindavan and nowhere else. We are also following in the footsteps of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu by attempting to construct a temple in Vrindavan for our disciples throughout the world to visit. Taking this opportunity, Gadadhar Pandit said, "Just now the 4 months of the rainy season have begun. You should therefore spend the next 4 months in Jagannath Puri. After remaining here for 4 months, you will be free to do as you like. Actually, no one can stop you from going or remaining." Upon hearing this statement, the devotees present at the lotus feet of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu stated that Gadadhar Pandit had properly presented their desire. Being requested by all the devotees, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu agreed to remain at Jagannath Puri for 4 months. Hearing this, King Prataparudra became very happy. That day, Gadadhar Pandit extended an invitation to Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, and the Lord took his lunch at his place with the other devotees. No ordinary human being can possibly describe Gadadhar Pandit's affectionate presentation of food or Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu's tasting this food. In this way, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu performs his pastimes, which are unlimited and unfathomable. Somehow or other, these have briefly been described. It is not possible to describe them elaborately. Although Lord Anantadev is always describing the pastimes of the Lord with his thousands of mouths, he cannot reach the end of even one of the Lord's pastimes. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Jagannātha, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leelas, 16th chapter describing Lord Chaitanya's attempt to go to Vṛindavana. Balo, Balo, Sadhu, Sadhu, Dhanya, Dhanya, Bravo, Jai, Jai. Chapter 17. Just kidding. We'll take a little break and come back here at 5.